Welcome to XConnect the show. My name is Kareem Kanji. I am the co-founder of both XConnectTV as well as thirdocean. Thank you so much for joining us. This is episode 2 in our Bank Connect series of shows. And we have a great guest today who's actually been on the show before.
Yeah.
We brought you back in because you're also going to be on our panel that we're doing on February the 15th. But before we continue with this conversation, I need to thank some of our sponsors and some of our partners. So first off, I always need to thank Hearth TV and the boys and girls here at bnotions who just relaunched their website. So go check it out at bnotions.ca. I want to thank them for being our production partner for this year. Also need to thank some of our partners and sponsors of our Bank Connect theme that we're running over the next 5 weeks. Need to thank our premier sponsor, our presenting sponsor, which is the ING Direct Cafe, just on Yonge Street between Queen and Dundas, 221 Yonge Street. So go check them out. Also want to thank Big Time Design for all their web and design work, as well as Sticker U for our year-long partnership with them. So go check them out, bigtimedesign.ca, as well as stickeru.com. So enough of the thank yous there. Want to welcome our guest, the founder and CEO of Finizzi. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing great. New year, lots of new things going on. I'm definitely
Absolutely.
excited.
And new year, but like the first month is almost over.
Yeah, you know what? Time's flying. It just seems like, the New Year's Eve was just yesterday.
It does. So 2012 starting, what's been happening the past few weeks with Finizzi?
A lot of things. We are launching a new platform. So
Okay.
we came out of our 3-month pilot, which we ran with 5 financial institutions.
Okay.
Got a lot of great customer feedback, a lot of feedback from our participating institutions. We're able to generate nearly $2 million in GAC sales
Wow.
for our partner institutions. Now, this was all accomplished.
And this was over a 3-month?
Over a 3-month period, without putting any money into marketing. We kind of just wanted to see, if it works, if there was buy-in from the institutions and from the customers. And we realized there is. This is a product that both customers as well as our partner financial institutions really value. So we're looking to launch a new platform based on some of the feedback that we received. So some of the functionality pertaining to the auctions is changing. We're launching a new and exciting credit card section, which is going to be the most comprehensive credit card comparison and recommendation tool in Canada, and just have a lot of great marketing campaigns going on. We teamed up with a few vendors around Canada, and we're going to be incentivizing customers to start auctions and to buy GACs by rewarding them with gift cards from vendors like Tim Hortons, like Best Buy, Sporting Life, and so on.
There you go. Fantastic. Now, before we go any further, some people watching this might go, hold on a second, what the heck is Finizzi all about? So let's start with the company, Finizzi.com. What's the purpose of the website? What's the purpose of the company?
So the purpose of the company is to provide the highest possible rates on financial products to customers. Now, we achieved that through developing a reverse auction system where financial institutions are actually able to bid for the customer's business. And we initially launched offering auctions on GICs, so guaranteed investment certificates, but really the plan is to be a one-stop shop for all financial products. Really a platform where customers can go online, can buy any sort of financial product, and can complete the transaction virtually without actually having to go into a branch.
Okay. Now, how long have you guys been in business for?
So 3 months. We launched back on September 19th.
Okay.
So I guess 4 months, actually.
4 months now. Okay. And is it just yourself? Do you have a co-founder or a founding team at all?
We have a founding team. I have 2 former banking executives that joined me. One is Mike Velci, who's my chief technology officer, as well as Sam Zuckerman, who is my chief marketing officer. And then I also have a development team. Okay.
Now, how did you? So you started like 4 months ago. You've got people that have come from the banking industry that have teamed up with you. What did they see in you, or what was your pitch to them that said that they wanted to team up with you to help build this company?
Well, first of all, they like the fact that I'm a young guy.
Okay.
You look at most companies in the financial service industry. Generally, it's an industry that's dominated by older folks, right? People with experience. And it's generally run on status quo. It's a very slow process when it comes to innovation in financial services. And here's a young guy who doesn't have that much experience, who's looking to shape the industry in a positive way and make some change. So they like that, that I do have that ambition. But also they like the idea. They know that banking as a whole is moving onto the web, mobile banking, online banking, and so on. institutions are moving away from kind of the branch world. So this is just, we're at the right place at the right time with the right idea.
Very interesting. Now, what was the impetus for starting Finese? I know the last time we chatted, and we'll put a link to our earlier conversation on this webpage as well. But what was the impetus on starting Finese? And maybe tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I came from the banking background. I spent 5 years working for one of the big 5 banks. So I spent time working as a financial advisor in the Rosedale area, and then also spent some time working in retail strategy. So it was interesting. When I was a financial advisor, customers used to come to me all the time looking to buy financial products like GICs, like mortgages, and so on. And there would be 2 different types of customers. There would be those customers that would have shopped around, would have went to all the banks and all the credit unions close by, and would have come to me saying, I want X on my GIC. And you know what, 99% of the time I would match or beat that rate, because we used to have a lot of discretion at the bank.
So you had the ability to do that, okay.
And then there'd be those customers that would come to me that would, wouldn't really know what, for instance, GICs are paying. They would just look at the posted rate, which is, the rate that gets advertised all over the media and all over the banks. And to them I would give the posted rate, and the discretion or the difference between the rate that customer A would get and customer B would get can be as high as 2% sometimes on longer term GICs. So I figured, why is it fair that customers have to do the shopping around and negotiating and going from bank to bank when institutions are willing to offer higher rates? So I figured, let's put the power back in the hands of the consumers, but at the same time launch a product that can benefit financial institutions and allow them to acquire customers in a cost-efficient way.
Yeah. So did you have any background in having your own business or entrepreneurship at all? I'm very curious.
Yeah, I was always very entrepreneurial.
Okay.
I remember throughout university, in our first year university, we started a club called the Millionaires Club.
Okay.
And we set out to make $1 million. Yeah, we're all kind of foolish.
Thinking, that's a big dream, right?
It's a big dream, exactly. So, we did all these random jobs. I remember we teamed up with this one company that sold crown molding, and it was styrofoam crown molding, but it looked like legit. So we went out to homeowners, and we sold the crown molding. We also, during that year, we teamed up with a company that developed those production videos for doctors' offices.
Okay.
So we did that as well.
Oh wow.
Throughout university, I had a clothing sample sale company, which was a pretty big failure. I realized that me and fashion don't really mix.
Okay.
I also had a window cleaning company, so I always had my hands in something.
Yeah.
I was always doing things on the side, but I gotta say, Finese is probably my first big venture where I'm dedicating all my time to.
Sure, that's very interesting. So now you started off with the GIC model.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you why you started there, because to me it would seem, and maybe to other people watching, it would seem that there's not a lot of margin there for Finese. So why did you start off with the GIC model?
I gotta say, for 2 reasons. One is, when you look at all financial products, GIC is the most commoditized sort of product. It's, very straightforward. There wasn't any approval required like there is, with lending products. It's a very simple product for us to launch, right?
Okay.
So that was one of the reasons. We wanted to launch with something simple, something that customers can understand, something that would be easy for the financial institutions to sell, and something that would be easy for us to get our foot in the door of these financial institutions. So that was one of the reasons. We figured, why don't we launch with GICs, see if this sort of model works for GICs, and if it does, then we can launch other products. We can launch mortgages, we can launch loans, we can launch annuities. So that was one of the reasons. The second reason is, a GIC is really a part of any customer portfolio. You have those customers that invest solely in GICs, and then you have customers that invest in equities and bonds, but they'll still put a portion of their money in GICs. And plus, there's this huge, commercial market. Condominium boards, charitable organizations.
Oh, there you go.
Developers that put a lot of money in GICs. So for us, this was a good product to launch, not only because of the simplicity, but also because of the big market potential. But yeah, I got to agree with you. Margins are definitely small. Especially right now. In a low interest rate environment for the financial institutions, and margins are really being squeezed. But that's the benefit of us. Selling a GIC at the branch level, for a lot of institutions, they actually lose money. Right? The overhead is so high, the costs are so high, but if we can offer them a virtual channel to sell it through, then right away they save a lot of money on overhead, and all of a sudden they're selling a product with a positive margin.
Interesting. And so there's many banks in Canada. Most people know of the big domestic banks, like the Scotia banks and the Royal banks and TD. And then there's, smaller ones, like the INGs and the HSBCs and such. And then there's even smaller ones than that. I'm very curious on the feedback that you've received from these different levels of banks, and which ones are more open and receptive to a model like this.
I got to say the smaller institutions are definitely more receptive.
Okay.
And, it's interesting. Canada is kind of a hidden gem. If you look at it in the U.S., for instance, there's, dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of financial institutions.
Yeah.
In Canada, if you ask, Canadians to name you like 10 banks, chances are they wouldn't be able to do that. They'll name TD, RBC, HSBC, BMO, but they probably wouldn't be able to name some of the credit unions, which
Sure.
a lot of times are offering much higher rates than some of the bigger banks and provide exceptional customer service. So for us, it was easier dealing with smaller financial institutions because we're a startup and we really need things to happen quickly. The smaller institution, the quicker they can come together and make a decision. So
Sure.
for us, that was a good fit.
Okay.
Working with a smaller institution. So credit unions and trust companies mainly.
And do you think that that's going to be your primary, market or partners? Are these smaller financial institutions rather than the big ones?
I'd say so, at least for the first little while. I think
Okay.
the smaller institutions are willing to be more aggressive when it comes to offering better rates. They are sometimes more innovative than some of the bigger banks when it comes to some of their product offerings.
Okay.
When it comes to the technology and so on. Being able to offer a virtual channel for GICs. I know the bigger banks are in the process of implementing the systems to be able to do that. So sometimes some of those smaller credit unions are ahead of the curve when it comes to that. But who knows in the future? I think there could be a potential for us to work with all Canadian financial institutions, big or small.
Sure. So let's get to some of these new developments that you were talking about at the beginning of our conversation. What are some of the insights that you learned over the past 3 to 4 months as you were allowing people and financial institutions and banks to converse with one another via this bidding model? What are some of the insights and learnings you received?
People like simplicity.
Okay.
People like things to be simple, and it makes perfect sense. Here we are launching, a new product, really a new concept. We're telling people,
Sure.
Go online, have financial institutions bid for your business, and get the best rate. So, in a way, we're kind of looking to change behavior. So simplicity was key for us, is really launching a product that's very simple, very intuitive, like just simple to understand. So we try to stick with what's simple and then remove some of the things that are more complex and kind of remove the noise, really strip it down to like the most basic form of an auction platform.
Interesting. What was some of the extra stuff that you're going to decide to put on the wayside?
Well, I'd say the main thing is the auction time is we're going to shorten that. Auctions were going on for too long.
Okay.
Right now we're actually, if a customer starts an auction for less than $100,000 for GAC, we're going to display the results right away. So it's going to be an automatic auction. Versus before, we let it go on sometimes for a full day. And at times people will go on, they would start an auction and then we'll kind of forget about it, right? So that was obviously an issue for us. So we realized we don't need to give financial institutions a full day to offer higher rates. We can automate this sort of system, and for larger deposits, give a slightly larger window of opportunity to increase the rate, and still it'll still result in the same great rates that we were able to offer previously. So I'd say that's definitely one of the things that's changing.
And now you're going to start offering another product now with credit cards. Well, you're not going to offer credit cards. You're going to offer the people to see the rates of the different credit cards.
Yeah, it just made sense for us because credit cards have been offered online for a while now, and we are a virtual channel, right? We're looking to be able for customers to be able to purchase products virtually. So credit cards have been sold virtually for quite some time now, and I was just looking at what's out there in terms of rate comparison and certain credit card comparison tools, and a lot of websites give you a whole slew of information. You're looking for, let's say, a travel credit card, and it will give you 40 credit cards. So we decided to actually standardize the process of comparing travel credit cards, for instance.
Okay.
And when a customer wants a travel credit card, we'll offer them the top 5 credit cards based on certain features that they're interested in. So,
Sure.
if they put a lot of value on, for instance, travel insurance,
Yes.
and the dollar value of the rewards and the ability to redeem them, it'll be a recommendation tool where customers can input the certain features that they value the most, and we'll recommend the top credit cards for them. So essentially, it's filtering through all the noise, because we're going to have over 200 credit cards as part of our platform, and so it's going to be the most comprehensive tool in Canada. But at the same time, we don't want to just list all 200. We want customers to tell us what they want, and we'll give them the top 5.
You'll give them the top 5. Yeah, there's something to be said about too much choice. People don't really make a decision.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah. Interesting. And so I'm curious if that allows you to get a foot, if not a foot, maybe a toe, into some of the bigger banks and some of their credit card products.
Yeah, it'll definitely keep us on the radar.
Okay.
It'll be a good opportunity for us to sell these credit cards and not charge for anything, right? So a customer will be able to go on our platform, they'll be able to complete the application, and the financial institution or the credit card issuer will be able to sell a credit card, and we don't ask for anything in return. This is really a consumer tool for us, an additional tool that customers can use, because we don't want to be just a GIC platform, as I mentioned. We want to offer a one-stop shop for all financial products. So this is just another kind of stepping stone for us to achieve that.
Sure, that's fantastic. I'm curious about the role of technology, and not just technology in terms of building your platform, but the technology that has allowed consumers to interact with brands and to allow them to have choice on where they purchase certain products and services. You've got netbooks like this that that people are able to carry and access the web from anywhere that they want to. You've got smartphones that almost everybody seems to have, that you're able to access the web and the information that is on there. It seems everywhere people go, they're connected to information. And I'm very curious on the timing of Finis, and if you think that the reason that Finis exists today is also because of the way people are able to access information.
Yeah, it's great because I'd say consumers now are a lot more educated than they previously were. Before the internet, they were mainly relying on people within the branch network to kind of educate them on the best of the product to buy, what rate is available, how much they should save for their child's education. But now there's so much information available online, and consumers are becoming more and more comfortable doing things online when it comes to financial services. Online banking, mobile banking is exploding. So for us, the timing was right. 10 years ago, this wouldn't have worked, and the reason for that is mainly people preferred dealing with the branches, obviously, and because the internet wasn't as evolved, and they got a lot of advice from the branches. They relied on their financial advisors for all the decision making, but now they can educate themselves. They can even sometimes when I used to work at the branch, customers would come to me with a level of knowledge much higher than mine, and they would tell me, I researched this product and I researched that product, and I know these are the pros and these are the cons. Customers do their homework. They're very educated. So for us, this was perfect, because we are looking for customers that know a thing or two about GICs, are comfortable, buying a GIC virtually over the web. So for us, this was perfect. Let the internet educate consumers, and that's what we do as well. Because there are those consumers that are not necessarily aware of some of the financial products. So we do have a learning center where we are able to educate our consumers and then move on to actually getting them to purchase a product through us. So the level of knowledge and the amount of content available online is perfect for what we're trying to do.
That's interesting. And another thing I want to ask you is the role of the social web. It's been said, and studies have been done, that people will as they're purchasing a product, along the way they're talking with their friends, and now with social media, things like Twitter and Facebook and such, people being able to connect with each other virtually. I'm curious. So, two things I want to ask you in regards to that. Number one, have you found that there is a significant amount of traffic or people coming in terms of people referring other people to the website? And number two, are you taking advantage of people's social networks? I'm very curious about that.
So yeah, there's definitely a word of mouth effect that we're experiencing, and I think as a whole for financial institutions, it's definitely raising the bar when it comes to their customer service and some of their product offerings. Because the last thing you want to do as a financial institution or a business that is in the financial space is offer crappy product or crappy customer service, because the word spreads quickly. It travels, exactly. So I think we could definitely do a better job taking advantage of social media, and that's definitely one of our goals for 2012 is be a bit more involved and active on Twitter, on Facebook, and through all these different channels. So we do have a presence when it comes to social media, but I think we could do a much better job.
Yeah, I just see like almost a natural fit in someone as they're going through a bidding process to be able to broadcast that process to their social network. And people that are following them either through their stream or whatever it is, being able to see that process of of Kareem having $100,000 and seeing the different banks bidding or actually seeing that process, and then as a friend of Kareem taking a look at that online and saying that's very interesting. I've it's RSP season or whatever the case may be, and I want to put the money into a GIC because I don't trust what's going on in the markets these days. And this looks like a very interesting platform to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, you're spot on. So now that's exactly what we're trying to do is add those viral features to help spread the word. The focus over the last 3 months was trying to determine if we have the right product, and now that we've made the tweaks and realized that we do have the right sort of concept and right product to deliver our value. At this point, we're going to be adding some viral features to really help spread the word and create the viral effect.
For sure. You mentioned earlier about the difference in banking in the States and Canada, and one of the differences being down in the States there's hundreds if not thousands of different banks, and up here people can't even name 10, and they don't even consider credit unions to be quote unquote banks. I'm curious about Finisi.com. Do you see it as building up here in Canada to prove the model, but really the opportunity is going to come down in the States just because of the size of the market and just the number of opportunities to partner with different banks?
We have looked at the U.S. market, and it definitely presents an attractive opportunity. I mean, at this point, we are solely focused on Canada. I think there's a huge potential in the Canadian market, especially the fact that there's such a difference between some of the bigger banks and the credit unions. Right? I think it creates a big opportunity for us to kind of bring all financial institutions and get them on par, right? Because at the end of the day, we're creating a commoditized reverse auction system, right? Where it doesn't really matter if you're a big bank or a smaller financial institution. It's all about the sort of rate that you are able to provide to the customer.
True.
So I think there is a big opportunity in Canada, and for 2012, we're definitely going to focus on the Canadian market. But we have looked at the U.S. market, and I think it could be an opportunity down the road once we've proven our model in Canada and really, made a big splash in the Canadian financial service industry to take our model and kind of replicate it in the U.S. market.
Interesting. Well, I almost wrap up here, but I'm curious if there's any lessons that you've learned. Not necessarily about building a technology, building a business, with technology and such, but building a business online that is disrupting the banking industry. Any lessons that you've learned in terms of, you've got some partners, and you mentioned that it seems to be some of the smaller institutions who are more nimble, are able to react faster. And I'm very curious about some of the feedback that you've gotten from some of the bigger banks, actually.
So the feedback from the bigger banks is, they like the model. The big banks are aware of what we're doing. We spoke to, I'd say, the majority of them. At this point, are they interested? No, and it wouldn't make sense for a big bank to get involved for a couple of reasons. One is, big banks don't really like to compete on price. If you generally look at the rates offered by some of the smaller financial institutions and the big banks, the smaller institutions will always come on top. The second reason is, at least to the big banks, for now, we're just a fly on the wall. Right?
Sure.
The big banks do not care about $2 million in GICs. They care about $100 million in GICs.
Sure.
So I think once we can get to the level where we are bringing that much volume through our system, at that point I think the big banks might be more interested in getting involved. And definitely, the sort of model we're looking to move towards is being able to aggregate deposits and getting financial institutions to bid on blocks and offer even higher rates. It's sort of kind of combining the Groupon model there.
Sure.
So I think maybe at that point some of the bigger financial institutions would be interested, but then that being said, I'm not sure if the bigger financial institutions would be a good fit within our model.
Interesting.
Just yet, but maybe so in the future.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Daniel, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate having me.
Looking forward to having you on our panel on February the 15th. And just a reminder to all of you who are watching, so a couple things. Number one, if you want to follow everything that we're doing in terms of this study on how banking and new media, social media, digital, mobile is impacting the banking industry, just check out our XConnect project website at XConnectTO.com. Go to the top where it says theme and scroll down to where it says Bank Connect, and you'll get all the shows and all the blogs and reports that we'll be providing over the next 5 weeks. And by all means, make sure you register to attend our event. Just go to the URL bankconnect.eventbrite.com and register yourself. And we look forward to seeing you live on February the 15th. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us again.
Yes,
and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. All righty.